Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chess League TV. I'm just posting on Twitter and then we'll get going. Alright, that's ready. I've tweeted I need to change the title of the stream. Oh Lord. And the title of the YouTube stream. Just getting everything ready here. Probably should have done this before I went live, but here we are. Great, that's done. I need to open the game over here. Beautiful. And we are up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let me start getting the moves on the board as I go over here. So this game is Marshmallow55 versus No Clue. No Clue, very funny. He has no clue. And this is a board 6 game. Marshmallow is rated 1600 and No Clue is rated almost 1300. So the black player is quite outrated here. Just a side note, No Clue was on my team last year actually. Hello Chessic student. Good evening to you as well. No Clue was actually the board 6 on my team last year, and he's actually gained quite a bit of rating. I think, if I'm correct, last season, excuse me, he was rated around like 1100, 1150, and he's already up to 1300. So a lot of improvement from No Clue. So awesome job to him. And despite being outrated in most of his games, he actually picked up quite a few points during the season. So I think. Even though No Clue is outrated, don't count him out. He's a sneaky little devil. So the game went E4, E5, our standard King's Pawn, Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop B5, Knight F6. So No Clue is rendering the Berlin defense, which is incredibly popular in Grandmaster play, as it leads to lots and lots of draws for black. And white chose not to enter the main line of the Berlin defense, but just to play D3. Just say, no, I'm not going for the Berlin endgame. I'm going to play D3, which is perfectly acceptable. In Grandmaster play, the Berlin endgame is difficult to win. At the lower level, I think in the Berlin endgame, black struggles quite a little bit. But here, D3 is a normal move. We're going to get some normal Spanish structure, and this makes a whole lot of sense. Black played D6. Now, this move, I'm not a huge fan of. I see the point. White has protected his e-pawn, so he is ready to, to take on C6, and then play knight takes E5. So D6 does make sense like that. I'm just wondering if there's a better way for us to do this where we're not locking in our bishop. And the answer might be no, actually. I'm not really seeing another way to protect our pawn without caging our bishop. I would potentially like to put my bishop on C5, where it's very active. But okay, D6 makes sense. When white protects his E4 pawn, you do have to protect your E5 pawn. Note that here, if we played A6, this would not be good, because after takes, 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 this pawn is protected, so white will get no counterplay. Normally white will win back his pawn with queen D, or sorry, normally black will win back his pawn with queen D4, and then that would not happen here because the E pawn is protected. No Clue in his whispers is saying, not a fan of my opening, mistakenly blocked in my dark squared bishop. However, I think in this position, you're sort of forced to. I don't see another good way to deal with this threat of taking and taking. If a move like queen e7, well, then you're blocking in the dark square bishop with your queen, which seems equally unpleasant. So d6 makes a lot of sense. The bishop will come in on e7 and be an okay piece. White castled. Very good. And black played bishop d7. So this is the first move I have a little bit of an issue with. And the reason is, I don't think this pin is anything. I don't think this pin is worrisome in the least. The pin's not doing anything. In fact, I'd rather break the pin by playing bishop e7 and castling, and then there's no pin. And if you ever take here, well, first of all, this pawn structure is not terrible. I can play c5 or d5 and sort of expand with my doubled pawns. And if you take, you're giving up your light squared bishop, which for white is usually a very, very good piece in the Roue, the open, or the Spanish. Another thing that black could have considered here is black can actually chase this bishop down in this position, because here after b5, knight a4, the bishop has, excuse me, that's not how bishops move. Fun fact: if you're just learning chess, bishops don't go like that. Here, the bishop actually has no squares. If the bishop lands there, I can take it with this knight. So black could have chosen to hunt down the bishop. However, in doing so, black has created a lot of weaknesses on the queen side and lost time. So here, maybe maybe white can just complete development here. A move like rook d1, bishop g5, knight c3 or knight d2. These all make sense. And when you take the bishop, my rook will open up on the a file and be a good piece as well. In fact, I sort of like this move, knight c3, because then takes, I am threatening to take this pawn. But black can just play bishop b7. We have a vaguely normal position here. So this was certainly possible. But black played bishop d7. I don't like the bishop on this square. What I would rather do is play bishop e7, castles, and then play this bishop out to g4, where white will have some issues dealing with this pin. So white may have to waste a move playing h3, which often occurs in these openings, but it is a move that white's not thrilled to have to play, the move h3. So we are now caught up with the game. I'm going to go and see if my other game has started, because I do have a second game for today. Ah, it has, so let me get that game as well. Lots of windows going on, so I have to manage all these things. Excuse me, I need to change these boards over because they're on the wrong windows. Everything's crazy. Players 2. This will go over to. So for our second matchup, we're looking at J7 Barbs versus Tinen123. Is this around the time when I normally stream? No, this was more a little bit of impulse, and there were two games that were starting right at the same time. I just felt like doing a stream. I usually stream a bottom board Bonanza on Wednesday or Thursday, and then I do league coverage, like the sort of the top boards, on Saturday or Sunday. The time does vary because unfortunately I am bound by when people schedule games. Like if I set the stream for 9 o'clock and then no one scheduled any games for 9 o'clock, I can't really stream at 9 o'clock because I don't have anything to stream. So the times do vary based on when games are scheduled. And there's not a lot that can be done about that. Let's get going with this Tinen game. J7 Barbs versus Tinen. So in this game, what happened? J7 Barbs versus Tinen. We saw a Sicilian. Great, something I also don't know anything about. Guys, I don't know anything about e4 at any point. d4 on move 2. So this looks like we're going to be heading for a Smith-Morra, which starts by gambiting upon c3. And Tinen123 decided not to accept the gambit and to decline with knight f6. And I have to say, I don't know this line. I know it's common to decline the gambit with d3, and the point of this move is that if it takes the knight's best square has been taken away. So you're saying, okay, I didn't win a pawn or anything, but I've taken away sensible squares for from white. But after knight f6, white played what is seemingly the sensible move. Whenever you play knight f6 without including the move d6, you are inviting white to play e5. And after e5, knight d5, cd4, this vaguely resembles an Alekhine's defense. And Alekhine's defense, of course, comes about after e4, knight f6, e5, and we can get positions like this or something like this. And here, this does seem somewhat like these positions. This sort of structure where black hasn't occupied the center at all does vaguely resemble an Alekhine's defense. And black's main argument is that white has slightly overextended without developing any of his pieces. So black will try to crack the center immediately, which black did with the move d6. He's really trying to put pressure on this center, break it down before white can get his pieces out. Here, I would expect a move such as knight f3. That seems a very sensible move. Also possible is probably bishop c4. Although bishop c4 will be inviting the queens off, actually. Because after bishop c4, knight d6, I'm hitting this. And on bishop b3, I will take. And this is probably not good for white. So I retract that scenario. We should not play knight c4, or bishop c4. I like the move knight f3 here. Just supporting my center. On takes, I can take with the pawn. And just say, okay, I have a nice strong pawn here, and I'm not terribly behind in development, so I'm probably a little bit better here. Let me just check in with my chat. Knight f6 transposes to the Alpine Sicilian. The lack of c-pawns is a big difference from the Alekhine. Yes, it is. It is a big difference. I'm just saying that this structure we got here does remind me of the Alekhine. Now, I don't know anything about the Alekhine because I don't know anything about mainline e4 openings, and you expect me to know something about the Alekhine. But this structure with black delaying, occupying the center, did remind me of the Alekhine, and I figure that the plans will be similar for black, which is to break down the center. And he did that, and we're still waiting on white's move here. So here, I think white is a little better after the move knight f3. He will have a strong presence in the center, and on takes, I like white. Just a little bit here. Just a little bit. Not a ton. Just a little bit. That's your standard opening advantage. So this is what I expect to see. And in our other game, let me change back over. We saw bishop d7. I think this is a little bit timid. Let's see if we have anything else in the game. Oh, we have much else in the game. Lovely. Here, white played the move bishop d2, and this move I don't like. It's a little bit timid. I don't see what our bishop is really accomplishing on d2. So for all of us sort of beginner or lower rated players, we do want to consider trying to find the most active squares for our pieces. That's always a goal I have in mind. And right now, I'm not entirely sure where I want this bishop to go. I'm just not sure where this bishop belongs. However, I do know some things that I'm going to want to accomplish in the Spanish. I'm going to want to play c3 and d4. And oftentimes, I want to bring my knight around to g3 via this maneuver. So I think a very sensible move for white to start with is c3. And the reason I think this is a good move is this does prevent black from tracking down this very important bishop. So I think c3 would have made a lot of sense here. And then if black continued with a6, b5, my bishop has this square. You cannot hunt me down with knight a5. So I would have liked to see the move c3 here, because after bishop d2, this plan is not really very possible anymore, because this knight will have nowhere to go. The c3 square will be taken away, and the d2 square is being hogged by the bishop, who is not doing much on d2. So when we develop our pieces, we really have to make sure they're going to useful squares. And right now, this bishop, there's not really a square I want to put him. If I put him on g5, he's just going to be kicked by h6. And if I go here, he's not a good piece on g3. He's eyeing this wall of black pawns. So I don't think the bishop belongs on g5. Also, if I go to e3, again, I don't really see what I'm doing here on e3, aside from potentially being harassed by knight g4 at some point. So the bishop on d2 accomplishes nothing. We're not supporting anything on this diagonal. And in fact, I think the bishop on d2 is detrimental to white, because it blocks my favorite knight maneuver. So I was a big fan of c3. We're going to protect our b5 bishop and not allow black to go after it. After bishop d2, black played a6. The bishop dropped back. Obviously, white does not want to exchange his powerful bishop for this meager knight. b5, bishop b3. And here, black played bishop e7. And this is a perfectly fine move. Black's getting ready to castle, developing the bishop to the only reasonable square. I like it very much. I just want to point out an alternative. There is, again, this alternative of playing, instead of bishop e7, we can play knight a5 and win this bishop. Or not win the bishop, but we will trade one of our knights for the bishop, which could potentially be very good for black, because this bishop is such a good piece for white in the Spanish. So that was possible. However, I also like the move bishop e7, developing a piece, getting ready to castle. What could possibly be wrong with that? So that should also be a very good move. So far, both sides playing a little bit timidly. These timid bishops not really doing anything. I would love to see this bishop out here, and I would love to see this knight out here, or maybe taking control of the center. But also both sides playing sensibly, developing and castling. I can't be too mad about anything until this move from white. And I think it's a very poor move. White played knight g5. And I really, really don't like this move. The reason I don't like this move at all is because it violates our opening principles. This is a total violation of our opening principles. We do not want to play the same piece twice in the opening. So yes, knight g5 does attack f7. So f7 is attacked twice. However, black has a way to develop and protect f7. Also, Chessick student, I see your question. I will get to it in just a second. So black played the very, very natural move, castles. So now this knight is stuck out here in no man's land. I really don't like this move, because the knight has moved twice, hasn't really accomplished anything on g5, and now it's just going to get harassed by black's pieces. Maybe by h6. h6 is a useful move for black. And then the knight will just be forced back. So this knight sortie out to g5 has accomplished nothing for white. It just forced black to play a good move. And if you're forcing your opponents to play good moves, that's not really what you want. You don't want to be forcing your opponent to play good moves. Chessick student asked, back in this position, what leads you to say that white wants to play c3 and d4 here? Well, that goes back to sort of our opening ideas of what do we want to do in the opening. In the opening, we want to develop our pieces, we want to castle, and we want to control the center. And so one of white's big plans in the Spanish is to control the center by playing d4. If you can ever get these pawns on e4 and d4, that's often very good for you because they control a lot of space in the center. And we know that one of the strategic aims of the opening is to control space in the center. We want to control the center as much as possible. And I already mentioned the other point behind c3 is that we don't want this bishop to get hunted down by knight a5. So c3 is a useful move just for that purpose, giving this bishop this ability to tuck away on c2. And we do want to play d4 at some point. We always have to be looking for pawn breaks in closed positions. Here, both sides have all 8 pawns. That means both sides have to be considering with what pawn breaks they want to make to gain space. And the very natural break for white is to play d4 to gain space in the center. So that's a very common plan in the Spanish, and I think it makes especially a lot of sense here to get started with c3. You protect the bishop, you prepare your thematic break in the Spanish, and that makes this a very good plan for white. That's why I say that c3 and d4 makes sense in this position. That's a very good question. Hello, Kyle Kuber. Welcome. Always nice to have you here. Let's see if we have any more moves in our game. Oh, we have a few more. So after... Sorry, let's just run through this. a6, bishop a4, b5, bishop b3, bishop b7, knight g5. Not a fan of this move. The knight has moved twice and accomplished nothing after black castles. Here, white played a3. So white chose a slightly different option. White's going to give the bishop a home on a2. However, again, I think c3 would have been better here with the point of, I do want to play d4. So I would have preferred c3 over a3. Also, another point is oftentimes white likes to play a4. So instead of a3, it would have been possible to play a4 here and start probing the black queen side a little bit. Say, maybe you've overextended somewhat on the queen side here. After a3, black played knight d4. And I know I just said that we don't want to move the same piece twice in the opening, but this move actually has more than one purpose. So I like this move. First of all, we gain a tempo on the bishop. The bishop has to move. Secondly, oftentimes one of black's big problems in this opening is the c-pawn. So it's often a big accomplishment for black to play c5. And after bishop e2, it is possible here to play c5 immediately. And I think this is quite strong. Black now has a lot of space on the queen side, has his fair share of space in the center, and is also clamping down on d4, making this c3 d4 more difficult. So I think this move knight d4 makes a lot of sense, because after bishop a2, black has sort of a couple options. Black can play c5, black can play h6, drive the knight back, and then put his bishop on a more active square. That would also be a good idea. But I do like this move c5. And then if you play c3, my knight will just go back, and I've achieved this move c5, which is nice for black. Really clamping down on this break, not allowing white to get what he wants. So, although black is moving his piece for the second time in the opening, his move is actually meaningful. It achieves something. Whereas this move didn't achieve anything. Now the knight is just floating here out in no man's land. In fact, let me go back here. I'm already eyeing ideas. Obviously, it doesn't work right away, but there are discoveries against this knight. Something like knight d5. Knight e4 clearly doesn't work because there's knight takes e4, but there are ideas in the air. Just to show one. I can get away with playing this move, knight d5, because the knight would be hanging on g5. I'm not saying this is a good move. Actually, this is a losing move currently, because a pawn takes, I hit the knight on c6. But there are ideas of discoveries against this sort of misplaced knight on g5. So this could be a tactical liability for white in the future. So bishop a2 is on the board. We're still waiting for no clue's move. I hope to see c5. I think that would be a very strong move, but we shall see. Just play 2 hours of Tetris? Congratulations. Does it get harder as you go, or is it the same all the way through? What's BBB? I don't know what that means. I'm going to check in. You love cheese. That's a disturbing picture you've posted in chat. I'm going to check in our other game. We had a Sicilian going in the other game, a sort of strange Sicilian. Apparently it's theory, but God knows I don't know. This is apparently an Alpine Sicilian. Here, e5, knight d5, cd4, d6. I expected knight f3, which we got. Great move. And here, knight c6. Black is putting more and more pressure. This makes a lot of sense. After knight c6, we saw... Okay, now we saw bishop c4. And I wonder what's happening after knight b6. Yeah, knight b6 was played, but after bishop b3, aren't we entering... don't we have the same problem with our queen here? Oh, interesting. Okay. So after d5 was played. And this is very interesting. Because, just to go back, we commented on this earlier, this variation with bishop c4, knight b6, bishop b3. And if de5, if we trade everything on e5, at the end of the line, black takes the queen, and if you play king takes, you lose your castling rights. If you play bishop takes, you have a really nicely developed army back here. Well developed. And black can just play bishop f5, d6, or sorry, e6, and complete his development very quickly. Whereas you have some work to do. So that would not be so good for white. So I like his choice to muddy the waters here. After d takes e5, white plays d5, saying, I'm going to kick this knight away, and then take the pawn back with my knight once it moves, and not allow this queen trade on the d file. However, this pawn is isolated, and could potentially be strong, but also potentially be weak. We shall see. Black opted for knight a5, which I think is interesting. I wonder what would happen here after knight b4, trying to win this pawn immediately. Because I do have 3 attackers, you have 2 defenders. That's not how the queen defends. So that means you do not have time to come and grab this pawn. And if you play a move like knight c3, perhaps I can play e6. Just preparing again to capture here. And if you take, I will take the queens off. But this is a little bit less clear in my opinion, because after king takes, you need to do something about this pawn. Bishop takes, pawn takes. You are up a pawn, but it is not the strongest pawn in the world. In fact, I think this position would be roughly equal. Also, not all of that was forced. After knight b4, knight c3, e6, there might be something else that white has. Perhaps white can play slightly differently. My point is here, if you play a3, now I can take here, and I have enough pieces covering this square. Say, take with the pawn. And after knight e5, black is up a healthy pawn. So this would not be to white's liking. And white would probably go for de6. Also, another point here. You can't really trade, you can't really take with any other piece. You must take with the king. If you play knight takes, bishop takes, bishop takes, here I have knight c2. And I will get a rook, and I will be very happy about it. Although, I'm not so sure about this, because after, for example, king f1, knight takes f1, bishop f5, I'm not sure this knight is coming out. And if the knight does not come out, it will be 2 pieces for a rook, which is acceptable. So here, this would be a little bit double-edged. Hard to say if black is okay here. What is bottom board Bonanza? bottom board Bonanza is it's Lichess4545 league coverage, and we are covering games from the bottom boards, so from boards 4 through 6, which means that the players are a little bit lower rated, and there can be some instructional chess being played, where pieces aren't developed well, pieces are moved twice in the opening, and we can go, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't move our pieces twice in the opening. Or maybe there's not a lot of planning going on. Like in the previous game, we were talking about White's plan of c3 and d4, and White doesn't seem to be aware of that plan, which is a big plan in the opening he's chosen to play. So I think these games can be super, super instructive. By the way, this is not the game position. After d5, we did not play knight b4. We played knight a5, just going for the bishop again. Let's see what happened here. Knight a5, knight c3, and yeah, if the bishop comes back, well then we're just losing a pawn, so that would not be good. Knight c3 played, and knight takes b3, a takes b3. I think black is doing quite well here. Black has eliminated the light square bishop, which can be a dangerous piece in the Sicilian. And now black can consider playing a move like e6, trying to break this pawn in the middle. In fact, I think e6 right away is quite strong. After e6, knight e5, knight takes. I think black is doing well. White's structure is very bad, and black is up a pawn, and he may keep it. So I think black is really doing very well in this position. So let's see exactly where white went wrong, because white has gone wrong in this position. This is not a good position for white. After e5, this makes sense. Knight d5, cd4, d6, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. That also makes sense to me. But after bishop b6, I don't like this move bishop b3, because I think you're allowing the queen to get pressured quite a bit. After d5, you must go d5. If you go here, this position cannot be good. It cannot possibly be good for white. So d5 makes sense. But I like this move knight a5. The bishop cannot move, as you will lose the pawn. If you come and grab here, I will grab, and then I will grab this, and I will be up a pawn. So white is forced to play the move knight c3, but after knight b3, a b3, this is a disaster. So instead of going bishop b3, I would recommend this move bishop b5. And I'm going to pin this knight, which relieves some pressure on the center, and perhaps I will even take this knight. Here I can play, I don't know. I'll play the move knight c3. And here white still has a strong center. He's not losing any pawns, and if a6 is played, okay, then I will take you. And this looks like a reasonable position for white. I don't think white has much here, but white does still have the space in the center. Black has his own talking points. Black has the two bishops, and this would be an interesting position. But, oh, silly me. After knight b3, there is queen b3. I missed this move. This was played in the game. And this makes more sense. This is a sensible move. Yes, this makes much more sense. I don't know what I was thinking. However, here, I still think I have e6. And I would still much rather have black. You can't really take. I'll take with the bishop and be very happy. If you have a check here, I can just block it. No big deal. So I think your best move is to take here, and I will take here and be very pleased with my position. So I would have liked to see e6. e6 was not played. Excuse me, I should promote this. Instead of e6, we saw bishop g4, and this I'm not sure about, because I feel like we're just losing a move after knight takes e5. White wants to capture this pawn, and you don't need to encourage him to do it. here it seems like you're losing a move for no purpose. So I really don't like this move, bishop b4. We've seen how powerful, after queen takes b3, we've seen how powerful e6 is. It does seem to win this pawn, sort of by force, because if you take here, maybe then I can protect this pawn, and I'll still be up a pawn with a move like bishop d6 or f6. Both are sensible. So I think here black went a little bit wrong. Bishop g4, we give away this pawn with tempo, and white has taken it, and black has played bishop h5. I'm not sure what we've accomplished here. I don't know why our bishop is good on h5. So not a huge fan of this position, or this maneuver by black. Going bishop g4, h5. I'm not sure what's so important about this diagonal. White will castle, and we have a normal position. This pawn, for the moment, is strong. Could be weakened by a move like e6. But now e6 is not nearly as good because it doesn't have the light square bishop backing it up. So, and yeah, white castles here. So this position, I think white is a little bit better. This pawn is strong. It's difficult to break. This bishop, it's a little bit unclear where he's going. You can't play g6 because I'll play g4. If you play e6, I will take that, and then you'll have an isolated e-pawn. So, I don't know. It's very difficult for black to develop this bishop. I don't like this bishop g4, h5 maneuver. Am I affiliated with the league? Yes, I absolutely am affiliated with the league. Chess League TV is the official official TV or Twitch channel of the league. That's why it's called Chess League TV. Yes, I am absolutely affiliated. You could join this league. Yes, let me post the link in chat. If you want to sign up for the league, go to that website and you can sign up for the 45-45 league. It is mid-season, which means you would not be placed on a team. You would be placed as an alternate, which means that you could occasionally get a game. You won't have a game every week, but when players, you know, for whatever reason, can't take a game in a certain week, an alternate would be brought in. Twitch affiliate. I don't know what that means. Which means probably not. Neuron Lahane. I am always an alternate in this league. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you an alternate for this season? Welcome. Zug Addict is now hosting me for up to 22 viewers. Crazy. Thank you so much, Zug Addict. I really appreciate it. Welcome new viewers via Zug Addict. I really appreciate the host. And we're looking at a couple games from the Lichess4545 League from the bottom 3 boards, from boards 4 through 6. Hang my sack. Zug Raid. Indeed, I will welcome it. So here, black just played his bishop around to h5. I was not a huge fan of this maneuver because the bishop doesn't really seem to be doing much on h5. Also, Kyle Kuber saying, I'm seeing a trapped bishop combo. I agree. If black plays g6, he'd be in a lot of trouble. g4 would be sad. Although here on g4, maybe I can get away with f6. I don't know. That gets very complicated. But complicated is fun. Sort of takes, and we have some ridiculous pawn structure here. Yeah, Zug's a great streamer. He came in. We had a great conversation one time. I really like him a lot. So that's this game. This is not the game position. I was just showing what happens if black plays g6 after g4. We have to attack this knight somehow. Oh, maybe we don't play f6. Maybe we play queen c7. But it gets very, very complex. I don't know what's going on here. Here, maybe there's bishop f4. So, this gets messy quite quickly. Yeah, complications are what drive the show, right? Bring the ratings up. So here, instead of playing g6, black plays queen d6. I don't know, I feel like I'm losing time again. What happens on bishop f4? Protecting the knight, developing a piece. I threaten knight g6. I don't know what's going on. So this would be interesting. Black played queen d6. It's hard to get his bishop out. You can't play e6, can't really play g6. This is an attempt to get the bishop out by driving the knight away. But bishop f4, not sure what you're doing here. You're letting me develop with tempo again. Create another threat, knight g6. This doesn't feel right. Maybe he's planning on... No, that's ridiculous. I was going to say castling long, but whoopsie. That would be quite a whoopsie. How long have I been streaming on Twitch? Not so long. I actually took over this channel from the previous owner about 4 weeks ago, and I am now the official voice of Chess League TV. My name is Quirked. I'm a USCF expert rated around 2050. Yeah, I do this about 3 times a week. The stream times are not the same every time because my streams are based on when Lichess4545 League games are scheduled. This is the TV station for the 4545 League, and unfortunately I can't plan my streams the same time every week because sometimes there's no games scheduled in, and then I can't stream when there's no games. So the stream times vary a little bit, but usually I do a stream on Monday, I do a stream on Wednesday or Thursday, and then I do a stream on the weekend. That's usually what I go for. So queen d6. Let's see if bishop f4 got played. Bishop f4 has not been played yet. We're still waiting on white's move in this position, which gives me time to check back in our other game. To those of you who just joined us, we have another game is going as well. We have 2 games. Oh, and here we had a Spanish, and it felt like white didn't quite understand the ideas of the opening in the Spanish, because oftentimes in the Spanish, white wants to go c3, d4, and that's just not happening. And it looks like a bit of a mess has appeared on board. So let's see how that happened. Bishop a2, h6 was played. Ah, okay, here's how the mess happened. After h6, white played c3, and black sort of accepted the challenge by taking this piece. And white's move is forced. He must take this piece. And after cd4, we saw ed4. So black has won a pawn. However, his structure is a little choppy. Although I will say c5 does shore up the black structure quite a bit. This bishop will be not very happy, though, with all these pawns on black. ed4. Oh, just kidding. This pawn's leaving. Bishop g5. Knight g4. Bishop e7, queen e7. Bishop d5, and rook ac8. Okay, let's go back. A lot of crazy stuff has happened in this game. Can you wedge? I would like to play. I don't know what wedge means. So after bishop e2, I was vouching for this move c5. I wanted to get this thematic break-in for black and really clamp down on the d4 square, and if c3, I'll just go back and I'm going to say you're not going to play d4. I'm not going to let you play d4. But that was not played. Instead, black opted to play h6, which is also logical, but it does allow white to create a lot of complications with c3. If the knight just drops back, here I will play c5 and just really cement this knight. Or, perhaps even better, After knight f3, I can go bishop g4. I have a ton of pressure here. In fact, I think white would be close to lost here because this pin is just so strong. I'm going to force you to play gf3. Your king is going to be very open, and at some point I'll find a way to attack you. So after h6, knight f3 is not really possible. You'll get pinned and murdered. So this move c3 is almost forced, trying to stir the pot a little bit. And here, black took. I just want to briefly look at alternatives because the position has gotten quite sharp, which means we do need to look at all possible moves. Here, I wonder if it's possible to just drop back and say, this pin is still going to be a problem. It is not nearly as problematic with the knight here. So this would, this is certainly playable. However, I'm not happy about my pawn being back here. I wish I had played c5. After knight c6, knight f3, bishop g4 seems logical, but this seems like the pin is... I'm not immediately able to exploit this pin. So okay, we took. I'm fine with this. cd4. And here again, very sharp. I'm looking for a lot of different ideas here. I think this simple capture is strong. And black has a lot of pawns in the center. If I get to play c5, this pawn mass will be very, very strong. Perhaps I'll have some sort of c4 or d5 coming. So I like this capture. Just creating this strong pawn mass on the queen side and in the center. Bishop takes g5. Knight g4. I'm not the hugest fan of the move. I don't think the knight is great on g4. I feel like it's just going to be kicked back at some point. Instead of knight g4, well, it's not easy to suggest a better move, to be quite honest. Perhaps just c5 or rook c8 with the idea of going c5. This also makes sense. However, knight g4, black is trading off this bishop, and this bishop will be very, very bad for black. In fact, if I were white, I would consider not allowing this bishop to be traded, because this bishop is so bad for black that I don't really want this trade to occur. So I would have considered a move like bishop f4, although I suppose black can sort of insist on trading. And now this bishop has come outside the pawn chain. What is this pawn structure for black? I don't know, but I like it. I think this is actually a very powerful structure with ideas of going c5 and just breaking down the queen side. I think this is quite a strong structure for black. I think black is a little bit better here, especially after the trade of the dark square bishops. That bishop on e7 was disastrous. So now that those have been traded, I do like this position. Bishop d5, rook a c8. Now I can play something like c6, c5 and have a very nice position. Or I can think about playing bishop e6. Everything makes a lot of sense. Let's see if we have any more moves. No, after rook a c8, we're still waiting for white's move. And I like this. I think one problem that a lot of lower level players have is they don't really use their time. This is a 45-45 league, which means that each player has 45 minutes and there's a 45-second increment per move. So these games can be quite long. But sometimes people sort of blitz through these like they're a blitz game. And that's not an effective way to win these games because you're not taking your time and thinking. So both players, down to 30 minutes, they are using their time, they are thinking, which is good. A lot of lower level players don't do that. They don't really take their time, and then their chess suffers for that. So I like what I'm seeing in terms of time management for both players in this game. Here I think black is slightly better. I like his structure on the queen side, as bizarre as it is. White is still slightly underdeveloped over here. This knight doesn't have great squares. The knight can come to d2 and f3, but it can't come in here. It is also possible for the knight to end up on f5 via the classic Rui journey. But I feel like white will want to play f4 at some point, which means the rook sort of wants to stay on f1. So the f1 square isn't really available to the knight, which makes that journey a little bit harder. So I think this knight, I have some questions about where this knight is going. Meanwhile, black's plan is fairly straightforward, just like blast everything open over here. I don't know exactly what black is going to do, but I think it's going to be effective, whatever he does. He's just going to blast something open on the queen side. Because he will have a strong majority over here. Right now it's sort of a 5 versus 4, and I think black can really stir up some play on the queen side. All right, let's check back in on our Sicilian with J7 barbs versus T9. Back here, I was very unhappy with this maneuver. In this position, I very much like the move E6, because the move E6 really challenged this pawn, and I didn't see a way for white to maintain that pawn. I thought white had to take here, but after takes, we can trade everything if we want to. But this only favors black because black is a pawn up. Surprise! We're up a pawn. Where did that come from? So I thought this was very good for black after e6, but instead black played this strange move, bishop g4, which invited white to take on e5 with tempo. And so I wasn't a huge fan of giving back the pawn with tempo. I didn't understand why we did this. And then I guess when you play bishop g4, you're sort of committed to playing bishop g5 here, or sorry, bishop h5 here. But I really liked the bishop on this diagonal because it supported this break e6. And that helps me get my pieces out, it helps me challenge white's center, and here the bishop is not supporting e6, so I'm going to have a much harder time breaking down the center. After castles, we saw the move queen d6. Both g6 and e6 were somewhat problematic for black, so it's very difficult to develop the bishop. So queen d6 strikes at the knight, and let's see if we have any more moves after that. So queen d6, yes, we had the move I expected, which was bishop f4. And okay, if we like complications, we're gonna get some complications, because black played g5. Whoa, what's going on there? g5, opening up the king side, trying to get this bishop out to g7. So this is a sharp little move, and the game's over. Okay. We saw queen b5 check. Another problem with this bishop being over here, it can't block checks. So after queen d5 check, or queen b5 check, knight d7, knight e4, uh-oh, hits the queen. a6, this comes with check. Check, e d6, mate. So that was a rapid fall from grace. Let's see what happened there. Makes my coverage a lot easier. I only have to cover one game. So, obviously, something went horribly, horribly wrong here. First of all, not sure about this move queen d6. We are inviting this move with tempo. Threat is knight g6, trying to pick up the rook there, which would not be fun for anyone. And black tried g5. And this is an interesting attempt. We're trying to get the bishop out here. After queen b5, check. Knight d7 is the natural move. If it doesn't work, we do have to consider this move king d8. As ridiculous as that looks, we do have to consider... Actually, I'm sorry. No, can't consider this. King d8 loses to knight takes f7. Check! And that will be the game. So, after queen b5, knight d7 is an only move. Here, knight e4. But a6 just does not work. This comes with check. So we need to find a better move for black here. And my suggestion box runneth low. Runneth very, very low. So the queen has to move. I have to stay next to my knight, which means that queen c7 is forced, I think. It seems very, very forced. And now my idea was, if a move like rook c1, then maybe a6 is okay. Not great. Clearly black is a little bit all over the place here. But say, if we go rook c1, maybe I even can sneak away to d8. This all looks very, very... I'm skeptical, to say the least. I'm very skeptical. In fact, I'm already seeing ideas of a combination like this. I don't know if it works. I don't think it does. I think I have bishop e7. But I have a lot of tactical ideas here. But after queen c7, I was really eyeballing this move d6. And my idea is, if you take this, this check should be lethal, just piling on the pin piece. So unfortunately, you cannot take the d6 pawn. But if you cannot take the d6 pawn, I'm not sure what you're doing with your life. Again, if you play, well, e6 would be ridiculous. Move like queen d8. On a move like queen d8, I will just take this pawn. And I'm coming to bear here as well. This looks very bad. Or perhaps I can even do this. I'm not sure. Very, very sharp. But it feels like there should be a winning combination here for white. Oh, maybe there's just this move. Just crashing down on the knight from the other side. Rook c1, a6 loses at least a piece. I believe it. I'd believe it. But here I think I was eyeballing this move d6, which I think should be winning as well. You go d6, a6. I have a hard time believing this. I have a very hard time believing this. Oh, take. Take this maybe. Can't take this, I'll lose a knight. This all feels rather frail to me. Something like this, I have a pawn on c7. Oh, I can't check there. This bishop is actually doing something. Surprisingly. So maybe black lives in this variation. Maybe d6 is imprecise. Queen c7, rook c1, a6. There must be something. This is ridiculous. There's probably some mating idea that I'm missing here. I can maybe just move my queen back. Yeah, then b5. Oh no, but this is just disaster. I just take, and then I take here. Probably with the knight. Yeah, this'll hang. Yeah, just take this. Looks winning for white. Black's a mess, has no development. So yeah, not a strong showing here. Let's see where that went wrong for black. After queen b3, this move, I'm going to give this move a double question mark, because I think we cannot give away pawns for free with tempo only to put our pieces on bad squares. So I'm a huge not fan of this move. Bishop h5, castles. Queen d6, I also think is a mistake. We're inviting our opponent to develop with tempo. That is not something we want to do. So instead of queen d6, I think it was better to attempt to make g6 work. I don't know exactly how we would make it work, but I think we needed to try to make it work. And after something like g4, bishop g7, this could be quite complicated. Although here maybe queen b5, knight d7, knight d7, and I've actually lost a piece. So queen b5, sorry, not this variation. After g6, g4, bishop g7, queen b5 might force the move king f8, because we cannot allow this white to sacrifice with gain of time. So g6 possibly playable in this position. However, this bishop is so sad. I wish it wasn't on h5. Other moves possible. We cannot play e6, so maybe we should consider developing our queen side, as it seems to be the only useful plan we have. Rook c8. Or perhaps we need to make something of this bishop and play bishop g6. Those were my two alternatives. I do not like queen d6. I do not like allowing my opponent to develop with tempo. Yeah, no clue's doing great in the other game. We'll go back there really quick. I'm just doing a full recap here. After bishop f4, g5, this strikes me as desperation. But this has all the signs that it's falling apart. I wonder if there's really a threat here. Like, I've been saying knight g6 is a threat, but I was looking at variations such as knight g6, queen f6, knight h8, queen takes, and the knight is stuck on h8. So perhaps there is not really a threat of a discovery. And I have time for a move such as rook d8. It's possible that I have time for this move. And then if you play knight g6, well, first of all, I'm an idiot and can play queen g6. So that's something I can do. Other discoveries? Maybe possible. Maybe I can go knight f7. Takes, takes, takes. But I'm not convinced this is so bad for black. So I like a more sane approach here. Don't lash out with g5. Just try and make something of the position. If you go queen b5, I've added another protector of the d7 square. So now after knight d7, I don't have to be too worried. On knight e4, the queen is free to go away. Well, probably not there. Where does the queen go? It's not clear where the queen is going. Here, I'm actually not sure where that queen needs to go. Probably has to go to b6. Just pressure black's queen off the pin. Or maybe even a6. I'd rather have my pawns on the b file. So this seems... Knight b5 basically kills black there. Bishop f4, rook d8, knight b5. That's a square. That's certainly a square. That's a pretty nasty move. That's a pretty nasty move. And the problem here is if you go to b8, which is where I really want to go, now there's a lot of discoveries with, say, like knight g6. Now this really is a problem. Or maybe I don't even have to go knight g6. Maybe I just go rook c1 and say I'm still coming in on c7. So queen b8 doesn't really work. But where else do you go? Can't go here, can't go here. You need to stay on this square or else you're literally mated. If you go here, it's a disaster. So knight b5, an incredibly strong move suggested by Iago666, which, yeah, after bishop f4, I was suggesting the rook d8, trying to counteract some pin problems, but this is it's a shot. That's a shot, man. So maybe after bishop f4, I have to play the move rook c8, try and guard this square. But then again, I'm running into problems on queen b5. Because after the knight drops back, now again there's knight e4. And the black queen is just so short on squares. She's under so much pressure. Queen c7 is forced. And we're in a very similar position where white should just be running all over black. So, a nice game from white. White developed his pieces with a lot of threats, with gain of time, and then it found the killing blows, the killer tactics. Let's go back to our other game. Our game with Marshmallow55 versus No Clue. Here, we had just seen. Let me get back over there. And I've been on the wrong stream page this whole time. Professional production value here. Brilliant. Here, white played knight d2. Like this move, we got to develop our pieces sometime. Move 17. First time we're moving this queen knight. Usually a good sign. Black played c6. Good. We want to drive our opponent's pieces back. Bishop a2. Knight e5. The knight found a nice home here. Perhaps white will play f4 and ask the knight kindly to leave. At least I would. And white played knight f3. I don't know about this. I don't know about this. We're walking into a big old pin. And this is not a friendly pin. This is a very unfriendly pin. So I really don't like this move, knight f3. We cannot afford to walk into such a strong pin. I think it would have made a lot of sense to play f4 here. That knight is actually somewhat limited. It can only go to g4 or g6. I would probably go to g6. And white actually is making progress on the king side here. So the knight does make sense on e5, but it can just be booted away. Here I would have liked to see c5, get going on the king side. Maybe knight f6. I actually like the knight on f6. I think it's a strong piece. Then f4 doesn't come with time. You're going to have a hard time breaking. So I think the knight is a good piece on f6 as well. But white here, walking into the pin. We can't do this. This is going to force a recapture here. After bishop g4, good move from no clue. White immediately played h3. And black took, and white took. Now, no clue, I'm noticing in the game chat, said I should have played knight takes f3, g takes f3, bishop e6. And this I disagree with. I think you should have played knight takes f3, very, very strong. And after g takes h3, or g takes f3, I will take my free pawn. We gotta be on the lookout for free pawns. In fact, I will not only take my free pawn, I will take this exchange. Because if you move, I will mate. This is mate in 2. So this would have been winning for black, completely winning. After h3, this pin is monstrous. And the problem with h3 is that you actually weaken this pawn on h3. So after knight takes f3, it's check. You must recapture. I'll take this. You can't move the rook. You have to play the move king h2, I think? King h1, maybe? No, king h2, probably. I think this is forced. Otherwise, queen g5 here. Well, but here, queen h4. Maybe I'm mating anyway. Yeah, this looks bad. This looks really, really bad. Cause, oh man. Yeah, after queen h4, it's hard for me to live, to find a way for white to live. If the rook moves here, that's mate. If the rook moves here, that one's a little trickier. I probably have something like this. I'm not totally sure what I have here. On bishop f1, there's king g1. And I'm not seeing a mate. On bishop g4, there's king g2, protecting this pawn again. I can also try queen f2, but I give up the bishop. And I'm not seeing exactly what I'm getting here. My rooks aren't in play yet. So perhaps queen h4 was a bit rash. And after knight f3, g f3, bishop h3, king h2 forced, then I will just take the exchange. And that makes a lot of sense. So here black would have been totally winning. But the game would continue. Tinen, nothing to be embarrassing. There were some very instructional moments in there, and I love instructional moments. I live for instructional moments. So here, after h3, black had a win, but instead played the inferior bishop takes f3, g takes f3. But I assume this is still strong for no clue, if I had to guess. Black played queen g5. Here, king h2 was played. This cannot be right. We're allowing a check here. I think. Well, I say it can't be right, but then if you go here, I have like queen h4 hitting this, and maybe you have to play king h2. So okay, king h2. Queen f4 check. King g2. I'm holding on by the skin of my teeth. Black's rooks are not doing much as of right now. I would certainly consider playing g6, king g7, rook h8 if I were black, trying to get my rooks into the game. I would also consider the move Okay. Okay. No one saw that. No one saw anything. So, yeah, I like this move, g6, king g7, rook h8. Or not this move, this plan. Trying to get my rooks into the game. I'm trying to see if black has any other ideas. Perhaps I can rewrite this knight to h4. That is interesting as well. If the knight lands on h4, I will win this pawn. So knight g6 actually prevents a pretty pressing threat of winning f3. Ooh, I like that. I like that idea. After knight g6, I'm going to land on h4, take on f3. I don't see how you stop that. I think there's knight... No, because if you go knight g6, queen c1, you're not in time. Knight h4, and then queen f3, which would be very, very bad. So I like this move a lot, knight g6. I think it forces the win of the f3 pawn. There's no way for another white piece to defend the pawn. So this would be quite strong for black if he manages to find knight g6. It's a very good move. I know, I suggested it. Okay. And instead black played c5. I can't complain about this move. I've wanted c5 the entire game. But I'm going to complain just a little bit because there is such a strong maneuver which forces the win of the f3 pawn here. But I do like this move c5, and in fact I think black is eyeing the idea of playing c4, which will bring this rook into the game and allow the move f5. So if black gets a lot of time, he'll play c4, takes. I would hang that pawn. I might not care. It's hard for me to say. After c4, takes. Oh god. No, I'm not hanging that pawn. f3 is hanging. So, something like c4, takes. If queen takes, we can take on f3. So, c4, takes. Rook c1. And something like f5. It gets very, very sharp and very complicated. However, it is white's move. Black cannot play c4 immediately. So, white, I think, should consider playing rook c1 here. Alright, I'm feeling white might be scared of bad things that are going to happen. Also, the other thing is, if you play rook c1, I can still go knight g6. After rook c1, you haven't stopped me from playing knight g6. So maybe you have to do something to stop me from playing knight g6. I'm really unclear what that thing is. I think queen c1 maybe. Queen c... No, I keep hanging this. I can't do that. God. Yeah, it's not easy. Because after rook c1, there's knight g6. It's still strong. Still very, very strong. I don't know. Does something like rook g1 do something? Rook g1, knight g6? This actually did do something, because now there's king h1. There's king h1, and if you go knight h4, I have rook g3. So maybe the move here is rook g1, preparing to protect f3 via the g3 square. That actually might be a viable plan to defend against this knight g6 maneuver. Yeah, this is rook g1, I think, is the move for white. We gotta find a way to protect this pawn. It's so disastrous if I lose it. So at this point, we're just waiting on moves. I'm trying to see if white has any alternatives to rook g1. Because as we saw, rook c1 met by knight g6, you can't stop my threat of winning f3. If you go king to h1 here, I still go knight h4, and you actually have no piece that can protect f3 a second time. Very unfortunate. Pieces are quite misplaced for white. So I do need to bring another piece here somehow. Maybe I can play queen e2, but then knight g6. Not clear at all. Not clear one bit. Yeah, I think the move must be rook g1. And I mean, rook g1 is also an attractive move. We're putting our rook on an open file against our opponent's king. What's not to like? What is not to like? Tinan, if you're still there, are you interested in coming on and talking about your game? I do like inviting people onto the show. We can have a guest star while we have some downtime in this game. Guys, I'm so good at drawing arrows. He's in the chat. I see him there. I checked my viewer list. I'm just gonna hop on Discord, see if he's coming on. I think it would be interesting to get Tinan's. I think it'd be interesting to get your point of view, because obviously something went wrong in that game. Yeah, no worries, man. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. Like, no pressure. I'm just asking. Just asking. No pressure whatsoever. Let's see. I should keep checking our game to see if we have any moves. No, we're still waiting on white. White is down to 15 minutes. So again, I like white using his time. Very good. No Clue also down to 23 minutes. Also using his time. I love it. I love people using their time. Remember that No Clue was outrated by 300 points, so he's putting on quite a good showing here. I noticed the thing I noticed about No Clue when he was on my team is that he actually plays he plays very solid and logical chess. It just feels like sometimes, you know, a piece will drop for no reason. So when No Clue doesn't drop pieces, he plays good chess. He plays very logical, sensible chess. And although he missed a strong punish here after h3, knight takes f3 was incredibly punishing. I will collect the rook on f1, it can't move. So that would have been a strong punish from No Clue. He still played in a way where he has a good advantage as black. And his moves have been very logical, very sensible. c5, again, it's not super critical. In this position, knight g6 wins this pawn. But it's a logical move. He's expanding on the queen side. He's trying to get this rook into the game, which I like. I want all my pieces to be playing. Ooh, and I don't like white's move. I don't like it one bit. The move b3 here. And somewhere this bishop just screamed a cry of agony. It cried a lot. It cried really, really loudly. And so first off, black can play knight g6 and do the same thing. So we didn't address that threat. Secondly, I have given black the option of playing f5. And I think this is a very interesting move. And my point is, I just want to take and open my rook onto f3 so that I can smash you. I'm just gonna smash you down the f file. So f5 is very interesting. After f5, white can play b4 check, because black did open that diagonal. But here, maybe I go c4. And all of a sudden, black is really blasting the position open. And white is not ready. White is not ready at all. After takes, takes. You can't take here, I'll take this. I'm about to take here and like play knight f3 or something. I think it's starting to fall apart for white after f5 here. b3. Can't have it. If white is so worried about c4, white can find a more active way to deal with that by playing something like rook c1. And c4 can still come. I can't take this. But I don't, like, b3 doesn't, like, does b3 even prevent c4? I guess sort of. Not really, though. I could play knight takes, but then queen takes there. I guess we did prevent c4. I'd just rather develop my pieces. I like having my pieces developed. Call me old-fashioned. Yeah, but you can... I mean, in what world are you playing queen c1? You're gonna have... If you want to play queen c1, you're gonna have to organize that somehow. It's not going to be easy, because f3 is so weak. Also, welcome to Music Dan. Nice to have you on. The other thing about queen c1 is it also hangs this pawn. White has so many weaknesses here. So b3, we're waiting on no clue. I would love to see knight g6. I would love to see f5. Those are both not totally obvious moves, I think. But if he finds either of them, good on him. I also think white is toast. But this is a board 6 game, which means that sometimes conversions are not clean. And we can learn from positions that are won and end up as draws. Because I think it's really true, the saying, like, the hardest thing in chess is winning a won game. And personally, for me at least, I find that to be very, very true. I oftentimes get very, very good positions and then I don't win. And it's incredibly frustrating. So learning where we're going wrong and converting winning positions can be really, really instructive. Yeah, I mean, look, I've had games where I personally have been, you know, up a pawn or two in an ending, and I don't win that ending that I should. And that's a skill that you have to have. And so learning how to convert winning positions is one of the most crucial skills you can have in chess, and it's also one of the most difficult, in my opinion. Maybe I'm biased because I'm bad at it, but I find it really hard. And no clue has gone ahead with c4. So I don't think this is the best move. However, I can't argue with his logic. And what no clue is doing here is he has a plan and he follows through on it. And I don't think it's the best plan in the position. I think there were other better moves here. But it's better to have a plan and do it, even if it's not the best plan in the world. If you have a plan and do it, you're going to make stuff happen. And here, he had this plan, c5, c4, and he played c5, c4. And I can't argue with that. Not the best move, but he had a plan and he did it. I expect we're going to see mass trades here. How come the b pawn is on b3? Because last move, white played b3. After c5, white was scared of c4 and played b3. Archon, just joining us, welcome. Here in this position, black had two strong options after b3. White can play knight g6, knight h4, which wins the f3 pawn by force. Black can also play f5, trying to rip open the position. But here, black continued with his plan that he started with c5. After b3, white said, I'm presenting c4, and black said, no, you are not. I will play c4 anyway. The small board isn't live. Oh no. Is it not updating? Why does it do this? My stuff needs to get its stuff together. Okay, I updated. Sorry about that. Sometimes my windows freeze for whatever reason. And we saw dc4. White is trying to offload this weak pawn here. I expect to see no clue recapture. I would be surprised if he did not recapture. Oh, and we actually have Tinan in the channel. Sorry, Tinan, I didn't see you there. Tinan, do you want to unmute your microphone?
Hello?
Hi, how you doing, man?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and you are live. Welcome, Tinan. So I'm going to head back over to Tinan's game. Tinan was playing in the other game where he had a slightly unfortunate outcome. So tell me, what happened here?
I think my first issue was that I played too fast, and I just missed a lot of things in the middle game after I got out of theory.
How much time did you end the game with?
30 something, I think.
Okay. Here, let me invite you to the study I'm using so that we can actually look at this together. That's not how you invite people. Tinan 123, right?
Yep.
Great. So, if you want to go to the chapter with your game, why don't you just take us through the game?
Sure. So I was expecting e4, and I've recently switched from playing 1e5 to the Sicilian, and I did not know what he would play as a response, so I didn't do a lot of prep for this game. I saw he only had a couple of games in the Sicilian, and I saw one game where he did this, but most of the games he went for unorthodox stuff like bishop c4 sometimes, and he didn't play a lot of main lines. So I was just expecting that I would go off my knowledge of the Sicilian that I've known so far and not do a lot of prep. So after this, I was happy to see that he went into some theory that I knew. So here, I always play, I guess I've been playing for the last couple months, this move here. And the point is that I don't have to learn as much theory against the Smith-Morra, because if you do this line, then this is one of the main lines in the Alpine Sicilian, and the main line here would be pushing e5, knight d5, d4, takes, and you basically get the same thing as I got in the game.
It's identical, isn't it?
It is identical. So if I decline the Smith-Morra by playing the move order that I played, I don't have to learn as much against both the Alpine and the Smith-Morra.
Makes sense.
So I knew all these moves up through here. And he was taking a lot of time in the opening, so I didn't expect that he would play the main move bishop c4 here. But I was happy that he did, because otherwise I would be out of book. So after bishop c4, this is the main move, attacking the bishop here. And the line that I know is that white goes here, and then you take here, white takes, and there's a lot of pressure on against the c6 knight. So you pretty much have to defend it here. Sorry about the arrows.
No, you're good.
And then you can either give up the bishop here, or sometimes white takes here. And that's about as far as I knew. So after he did not do this move, bishop b5, and he went back, I didn't really know what to do here. I probably had looked at some lines here a long time ago, and my recollection was that d takes e5 was still the main move, and apparently I was right. So I played that, and I was actually expecting pawn takes, and then this was the line that I was expecting the game to go. And I would play here, and this looks really good for black. With this pin, his king can't castle, and I think my development is pretty easy, and I can castle and get my rooks to the center. So
yeah, I agree. I think I basically said that the recapture is almost unplayable for white, and I think d5 was the only move he had in this position.
Yeah. So I saw d5 coming, and I played this, just thinking that he would have to move this bishop and have less defenders of this pawn here on d5. And I honestly did not see this as a defender, so I thought I was actually winning a pawn here. So either he moves the bishop, or he gives up the bishop, and then I would just take here, and then if he takes back, I just win that pawn. But I did not see this. But I don't see another good move here. My whole idea of moving over here to the edge of the board was to take away this bishop, so I went ahead and took that bishop.
Makes a lot of sense.
Apparently these are still main moves in this opening, and he thought a while here, and I actually was thinking that he would play this, and I would just go ahead and play this, and that's why I ended up playing this in the game, because I had that move in my mind already, and this is the move that ended up costing me, I thought.
Yeah,
and I just felt really bad after that move, and then I just played horribly after that.
I was quite critical of that move on the stream, because in this position it makes so much sense. You're creating a pin, you're causing white a lot of problems, and I think that's something that happens to all of us, is we have sort of like residual moves or residual ideas where we're seeing all these positions in our minds, and then we remember this move, but it's not quite the same in this position.
Yeah. So I saw you give it a double question mark.
Well, I really didn't like this move, and the reason is, I think in this position you actually have a very, very strong move, which is e6.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought this was incredibly strong, because if takes, I have this, and I'm developing with tempo, and if you take here, well then I have enough attackers here, and I'm just going to be a pawn up.
Okay, yeah. I never considered e6 there.
I mean, it does make this bishop a little bit sad, but I will pay that price for a pawn.
Yeah.
Here, I wonder, maybe, is there something going on with this check? There might actually be... I might have given this too little credit. Because here, I can potentially win a pawn back somewhere. So, okay,
Yeah.
white has something here.
Yeah, I just played too fast too, so I didn't consider a lot of these other options that I had.
Well, in this position that you showed, bishop g4 makes a lot of sense. So I can see why you would like want to fling that out. But it seems like you didn't really fully consider what your opponent was doing.
Yeah.
And then after bishop g4, it becomes very, very difficult. Here, I might have even considered coming back here. The bishop...
I was worried about this, because he has this here and he has this.
I think you have good reason to be worried about that.
So that's why I went here to defend there. I
think here... can't we just push past, though, and be okay?
That's true.
I just I felt sad for this bishop in the game. He didn't really contribute much. However,
yeah, well, part of the issue with that thinking there was that this was a momentum move because I had thought about it before, and this was like not wanting to have to go back.
I've been there.
This feels like it's still active, like it's along this diagonal. So, but this is a harder move for me to make. But yeah, I should have thought of that.
No, I've totally been there. When you make a move and then you realize it's a mistake. It's really difficult to just like move the piece back. That can be really, really tough. Here, I also didn't like this move, queen d6. Because we're allowing white to develop with time.
Yeah.
And I think after queen d6, the position is coming close to lost.
Yeah, it's even material, but yeah. I had actually seen this coming, and my plan was what I played in the game, just to, but I think actually just even if he went back, that would have been okay for him.
I agree with that.
But I just felt really bad about my position here, so I didn't feel like I put in as much good effort into the game as I could have.
Yeah, defending's really hard, especially when you're worse. It can be really hard to like just put the effort in to find good moves when you don't like your position. Here, I was looking at this move g6. I know it looks a little crazy because white can play g4, but we enter some wild complications after a move like bishop g7.
Okay.
It's just something to look at. Also, here I was considering the move rook c8, just developing as well.
Yeah, I did consider this move too.
The problem is it's hard to play e6 and it's hard to play g6.
Right.
Which means this bishop is so sad.
The reason I think why I went with this was to try to play e6.
Yeah, and support the e6 square, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not like making moves for no reason, and you have good ideas behind your moves. It seems like it wasn't quite tactically sound here. After g5, queen b5 check, knight d7 totally forced, and here after knight e4, the wheels just came off. a6 is a blunder.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Here, I was hoping that he would not see that this king would check after I played it. I immediately saw that king would check after I played a6.
After you played it or before you played it?
After. Right after I played it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had too many pieces around my king, and my pieces aren't coordinated at all. I was hoping even for something like this, and then this continuing to attack the queen, and he would try to keep saving it instead of just trading. But yeah, this isn't even that good either.
Well, and unfortunately, this still comes with check. If he manages to notice it at this time.
Yeah, that was my original calculation, but then after I played a6, I missed that this game would check. So when he was thinking, that was what I was hoping for. But yeah, he saw that, and finished it with a nice mate.
Also, I think, unfortunately, in this position, it is difficult to make any sort of other move. You do have to stay attached to this knight, which means queen c7 is forced, but then rook c1 comes. I just keep kicking the queen around. You can play queen d8, you can play a6. Either way, it's not looking good. Also, I think here... Oh, it wasn't quite in this position, but Iago also had another interesting idea here of going knight b5. And just making the queen very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that also looks good.
And my point is, at some point, maybe I'll play knight c7 with checkmate.
Yeah.
So, Tina, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Lessons learned for yourself and for all of us chess players who are trying to get better. What are your main takeaways from this game?
Well, probably to spend more time and consider more moves. I definitely did not use the full 45 minutes plus 45-second increment that the game allows me to. And I think I got way too down on myself after playing bishop g4, that I just kind of gave up or not tried my best after that. And the game was, I guess, the computer thought it after bishop g4, it was just plus 1.4, but I felt really bad for missing this move. And me having to move my bishop again. So I should continue to work on looking for defensive resources in those type of positions, even if I'm somewhat down, because material's even still after he takes back the pawn, and it's not like he has a big attack at this point here. He still has to get his king castled, and I still have moves to even out the game.
I think one of my favorite stupid movies is the movie Galaxy Quest. Do you know the movie Galaxy Quest?
No, I do not.
Well, the tagline from Galaxy Quest is "Never give up, never surrender." And I think that's the lesson we learned today. Never give up, never surrender. Okay,
I'll have to look up that movie.
It's a great movie. It's really funny. Do you want to stick around and look at this other game with me, or are you heading out?
No, I'm okay to look at this other game.
Great. So this other game it's a board 6 game between Marshmallow and No Clue, and here No Clue as black actually has quite a strong position. Here, the white king is quite open. White got punished by one of these like bishop g4 pins against the knight, where he was forced to play gf3. So he has quite a position here. Let's see what's happened. b3, c4, d, c4, and d5 played. No Clue not going for the pedestrian recapture. He wants more. d5, cd5, d3.
Whoa.
Bishop b1 and knight g6. Oh my goodness. Okay. I've been asking for this move knight g6 for like 10 moves. It's so strong.
Mm-hmm.
Because black's going to go knight h4, and you can't protect f3. However, I'm not sure about this decision to give away like 2 pawns along the way. Let's go back. C4, dc4, d5. So one thing, I think what No Clue is trying to accomplish here is he really wants to open this c file for the rook.
Right.
And after cd5, d3, he's trying. I think he's trying to support the entry point of c2. Bishop e1.
Right.
And now knight g6 played. Now he's discovered this idea of going knight h4. But it does allow white to sort of untangle with like queen d3 or bishop d3 at some point. However, white went rook.
I mean, the white center does look imposing. The only issue is the king.
Exactly. I think if the king lives, white now has a lot of compensation, which means back in this position, black could have played knight g6 here and it would have been just as strong. So he didn't have to give away all this stuff. But okay, we've come to this idea. Knight h4, king f1 played, knight takes f3, and rook g4. What is going on? So my first thought is, as black, is what am I doing to not lose material? I have a fork. I'm winning a rook.
That looks nice.
That does look nice.
It's hard for me to see how I feel like you need to get these other pieces in because he has still 2 defenders and you just have 2 attackers. I guess this could be countered as kind of an attacker, but it seems that it can be taken off pretty quickly, and this can help defend too. This bishop.
I agree with that. I don't think we're mating white in this position. However, I think this is quite nice. I'll take my rook and run with it all to the bank, and then you just have to ask: is the endgame winning an exchange up versus this center?
Well, you still have your queen after you trade, right?
It depends. White could opt to play queen takes g4. Say, for example, king g1, knight g4. White has 2 options how he'd like to take.
Yeah.
I would probably take with the queen, just trying to get some of my pieces off the back rank. And also, I want to protect this pawn.
Okay, yeah.
So something like this. I don't know. I don't know if black wants to take. What do you think? Is that winning for black?
How about this? Check.
That could be problematic.
Just to not trade and to give a check, but I haven't.
No, because I think
you still need to get your rooks in somehow.
Well, I don't think you do actually. I think you just go d2. And I don't know how to stop that pawn.
Yeah, that does look pretty good.
Because the bishop's pinned. The queen can't stop that pawn by itself. That looks disastrous. And No Clue's missed the fork. And in fact, he's giving away a piece.
Okay, what did he play?
After rook g4, he played queen h2. Oh, yeah, he is giving away. I was like, is that mate? Nope, the queen guards h1. No, he has an idea. There's a mate coming in. Okay, I did not give No Clue enough credit here. Oh, he just missed mate in 1. The knight was taken, and this is mate in 2. And he didn't play it.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Instead, d2 has been played. Which might also be strong. But we missed mate in 2.
But I think you can stop that pawn now. You just get your bishop out and you can stop it, or you can... Or not bishop there, because the rook guards that, but the bishop here. And
the issue is, can I still do this? Isn't that still a problem?
that is still a problem.
Well, because the rook is undefended, you can't take it, which means you're gonna have to play something like here and give away the rook. Actually, no. Here I just queen and you lose. So after d2, this might still be totally winning.
Maybe you can get your king over to
king e2.
Your queen.
It's a bold move. It might be good. It might be a very good move.
And you can't queen yet, so I think black, and that stops this threat. This doesn't come with check anymore. Rook c1.
That might be it. That might be the defense. I'm just trying to look for tricky ideas for black here, like queen c7. Trying to bring the queen around, because unfortunately the queen can't come in on the first rank at any point. Or perhaps queen here. Queen to one of these squares. Just trying to badger the king. I also have an idea. How's f5 as a move?
Can you just take it? And then I guess you're giving up a check.
Yeah, the thing is now all of a sudden I've gotten my last piece into the game. I don't know if it's good, but it's interesting. And that's all I really want.
I'm gonna turn on the computer.
The engine?
Yeah.
I think white is winning.
Yeah, so
after king.
Yeah, white is winning here.
That doesn't surprise me. This is a really nice find by you. That's a really good defensive move, because I think if white doesn't play king e2, I don't really see what you're doing about this. Maybe you can get away with something like queen d3, and when I check, then you'll go king e2. No, that will lose. I'm sorry, this will lose. Because you will have to give your queen for my rook.
Yeah.
Even this position is a little unclear. Probably good for black, though. So queen d3 is not working. I don't know, is king e2 the only move here? Probably.
Yeah.
It's a good move. Maybe you could potentially play bishop c2, give the piece back, and go rook d1. If you don't see the move king e2. But if you don't see the move king e2, I doubt you're playing the move bishop c2. And No Clue has noticed in his whispers, he said, asterisks, I missed mate, didn't I? Unfortunately, yes you did, No Clue.
I'm one of those type of people that also looks at moves I missed and worries about them, even though it's like 5 moves already past it and
yeah, that was
it's a completely different position.
That was one of your main like takeaways from the game, right? You said because you were upset about the move you missed that maybe you didn't play your best.
Yeah. But that's probably something that I should not do, and No Clue should not do. He should look at the position that he has currently.
Well, currently it all the fate of the game rests in the hands of Marshmallow, who's down to 3 minutes. He has 3 minutes to find this really nice move, King E2. Also,
I actually am not looking at the game. I'm just looking at the study. Let me pull up the game.
I do want to point out in chat. Oh wow, Love Gangster has said, does Rook takes G7 lead to a draw? It probably does. After Queen G4, I will check you forever on these two files, unless you play King F6. But if you play King F6, I'm a little bit worried. Check. I don't know. Maybe this is not a draw. It's certainly not clear. But
Can the king escape?
I think the king is escaping. I'm not sure how you're mating me, or how you're perpetuating me even. My king will like hide on b8 or something, and the queen does a good job controlling this diagonal. In fact, as soon as I get to c7, I think I'm quite safe.
Yeah, I see that.
But in the game, bishop c2 was played. I'm a genius. So I expect to see the move rook takes c2. Would make a lot of sense. And now it's very unclear what's happening after something like rook d1. I think the interesting thing here is after rook takes c2, rook g1. I don't know why I have that up there. After rook c1, I think you might have to find the move king e2 again. Which if you didn't find it the first time, it might be hard to find it the second time. And even this is not so clear. After, say, rook here takes.
You're just giving up the pawn, though. Yeah.
But here, I thought I had counterplay, but I think I don't. I think I was lying to myself. My idea was if you take, you might actually be in trouble. I'll take f2. But of course, you don't have to take. You can just play a very calm move like queen d3. And this looks very good for white. Oh, these pawns we gave up in the center was not such a good idea. It's coming back to bite us. And the game is progressing as we expected. We saw rook takes c2. Oh god, I have a thicket of variations. Rook takes c2. Promote it, promote it. And rook d1. I expect to see rook c1. It's the most logical move. It is maybe possible.
Maybe this first.
I was thinking that.
Maybe double first.
That also makes a lot of sense.
This is still protected, and then...
Does it change anything if I go king e2 now? Threatening to take? Ah, it does change something. I have this move. Maybe I have that move in the other variation. And oh, nice! Rook c1, king e2, blitzed out by Marshmallow.
Okay. This is quite a game so far.
Yeah, I have no clue. Missing his chance to strike, unfortunately. Here I think rook here makes a lot of sense. And if rook takes, maybe I bring the rook in on d3. Harass your queen. Be annoying. And maybe I'll get somewhere doing that. Black is still quite active here.
I wish if I was black, my queen was doing something more.
Yeah, I would consider playing a move like queen e5. But here, Where would your queen like to go? I'll ask you. F4?
I mean, trading queens looks okay for white because you have this big center that you can kind of get rolling.
Yeah, if black trades... Well, first of all, this rook is already here, so this pawn's just gonna like queen.
Yeah.
But the problem for black is if queen h1, all of a sudden, I'm worried for this king.
I mean...
But here we have this.
This?
Yeah. And you know, I've got some nasty checks coming in down here.
Yeah.
So maybe allowing queen h1 is not a good idea.
Yeah, actually this looks pretty devastating. Because now the white queen is like offsides. And it has to get back quickly and then...
Yeah, allowing queen h1 is perhaps skeptical. Not skeptical. What's the word I want? I don't know.
Dubious?
Yeah, dubious. There we go. Nicely done. You have a way with words, Teenan.
It's just the markings of question mark, exclamation mark, right?
Oh yeah, dubious move.
Yeah.
So after rook h3 in this position, the queen does need a home. Maybe, okay, this is a more accurate way to attempt to trade queens. You are forcing me to like go somewhere I want to go though. Oh.
And then you have this. Yeah.
Yeah, but my queen guarded it.
Yeah.
But can I go crazy? Go f4? It's a little crazy. And I don't know what's happening.
Do you have to stay guarding this? I think you... Unless you have some other check. So this is guarding this.
That's true.
Um,
the problem I'm finding is that white's king is actually surprisingly secure on this square. Like, I'm struggling to give a check.
yeah.
I'm looking at this move, just pinning. But, like, the thing is, black's not creating any threats. So just like d6. I think at some point you have to play rook c2. And this move king e2 has sent No Clue into a deep think. He's down to 4 minutes here. Unfortunately, I think he's going to have to resign himself to the loss of his strong d2 pawn. I don't know. Have you found a way to stir up counterplay for No Clue as black?
I'm still looking.
What was wrong with f5? I wanted to play f5 earlier. Can I play
F4, you mean?
No. Sorry, in the position.
Yeah.
King e2, f5. White probably has to take, right? This is something.
And you get the check along the e5.
Yeah, this is less clear, I think.
I'm not sure white has to take. Does white can't white just maybe
Well, the rook has to move if you're not taking.
Maybe go... Go here and just block this queen in.
You could also play rook g2 and win a tempo on the queen.
If rook g2, maybe just the queen just gets out and gets more active somehow.
Yeah, so this was my point. I'm going to open you up.
Okay, and then... so, yeah, this... No, sorry. Mouse slip.
No, you're good.
Get rid of that arrow.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that does look bad for white.
I mean, I don't know if it's bad.
The pressure here.
Oh, that is, that's actually not even something I was thinking about. That's why I thought you might want to win a tempo on the queen if you're moving your rook out.
So, okay, let's go back and look at that. So, here, and then the queen, let's say, goes back to...
I could think about playing this move. No, no, I have queen f8.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work. So yeah, the queen should.
Say the queen goes back to e5.
There's some pressure.
And then.
I think you should take this pawn off the board, to be honest.
Okay. Let's say you take it, and then now you do this.
This looks scary. I'm gonna play like E3 next. You have this. It's sort of like a double attack. This is very unclear.
What about, can you do this check? And then if this probably won't happen, but that was what I was looking at.
Well, so here, what about king takes?
Yeah.
There's other checks here though. I think this is not over. I have a check. I have a check. So it's definitely something to be. Yeah, actually, where do you go? I might sneak in. Here, you're gonna lose, I think. Well, you might not lose, but it'll be something wild.
That'd be really hard to play, to give up the rook to see all this and hope that you have something.
You'd have to calculate. Well, here you do have something, but I think the critical variation is after queen f5. I wasn't sure what happens here. I think this check again. And I mean, I'm just not sure how good this position is.
Wait, go back. Can you, if here, or never mind, you just have the check again.
Yeah.
I was thinking this, and then you have this. I forgot the rook can take two.
Yeah, so this would be really something. However, black is getting mated in the game. So let's look at that.
Okay, let's see.
It's pretty convincing. After king e2, the game saw queen c7, queen f6. Oh, black's maybe not getting mated. g6, rook h4. Oh.
Yeah, you can't stop.
Well,
Queen
I
H8.
saw black give a check, but that's not the world's best check. That's not the winning check, as they say. And here no clue resigned because he is getting mated. So a nice recovery from white. I do want to go to our critical moment, which is not here. And no clue found this really nice move, Queen H2, giving the knight, because when the knight is taken, Tina, do you know the golden rule, what we always look for, first and foremost?
Checks.
Checks, then?
Oh, the checks, captures, and threats rule.
Very good. And so here, there's a glaringly obvious move here. It's a check. It's brutal, and this is mate in 2. So here, no clue had an opportunity to end the game. He missed a check, and that's sort of a chess sin. We can't miss checks because that should always be the first thing on our radar. We can't be missing checks. So this was a big miss from no clue, missing a check here. Can't be missing checks, and this would have taken the game home for him.
Yeah, that was a wild game, back and forth.
It was wild. And this is what I'm talking about, because people in chat were saying, "Oh, the game is over." No, the game's not over. The game's not over. It's never over. You got to win those winning positions. And after D2, white played bishop C2. Maybe not totally accurate, but it was good enough. This was good enough. And here I'm wondering, after rook C1, king E2, if here, do we still have this move? Does this still mate? No, this doesn't mate anymore because the rook moved. That's a big difference. All right, Yagu, pleasure having you. Get some sleep.
This still looks bad though for black because you have this soon.
Yeah, G6. My point is, if you go rook
And
H4,
then this, and then
here I can go king F8. No, I can't. I can't even do
this
that.
This is checkmate.
That is checkmate. I didn't look at all my checks. I'm bad at chess.
So after queen F6, what does black do?
It's a really good question. I don't know if I have a good answer. I have an idea.
So you run first instead of just G6, and then check, run, and somehow you hope your queen can come in and block things, and
it's not immediately mate, which is
still looks bad for black.
It's better than the other variations we were looking at. The other idea I have is, in this position, the rook is supplying the pin, so I'm wondering if I just want to like sack my queen on this rook somehow. But I can't quite make that happen. Which is unfortunate. There's no check. How annoying is that? Yeah, I think you have to play king F8. King F8, maybe I give this check. I don't know. Oh, ha! I don't give that check.
Oh yeah, the queen takes it.
Don't give that one. Anyway, a good game from Marshmallow and No Clue. I think No Clue understands where he missed his opportunity, and I think he played a really good game. Unfortunately, he missed such a chance, but happens to the best of us. And yeah, a good game from both players. Teenan,
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I just went back to the live game,
Mm-hmm.
and the graph definitely looked like the part where I jumped in was the turning point.
Where the evaluation just
Yeah,
skyrocketed for white.
yeah,
Yeah, at least entertaining. At least entertaining. Thank you so much, Tina, for coming on. I really appreciate you joining me and your insight, and I think we were able to learn a lot both watching your game and this other game. So thanks for coming on, man.
yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm not a good commentator, and I know that. So,
I had
um,
I had a blast talking to you, man.
yeah, no problem.
Uh,
I'll let other people continue to do commentary and let you do the main stuff.
don't feel bad. I thought you did a great job. Anyway,
Well, thanks.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna end the stream for now because it is also getting late for me. It's past 11 o'clock, past my bedtime, so I should probably be heading off. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. I'd also like to give a shout out to Zug Addict, who did host the stream. That was incredibly kind of him, and I really appreciated that. So big shout out to Zug Addict, and a big shout out to our 4 players, Marshmallow55, No Clue, J7 Barbs, and TN123, who has been joining me on the mic. So shout outs to all 4 of those players for some fun and exciting games. And hopefully I will see you all on the weekend. I should be streaming on Sunday for our top board coverage.